Welcome to Professor Mad. Today, we're going to explore power factor and power factor correction, concepts that are crucial for understanding electrical efficiency. Before going further, I recommend you to watch our power factor video first. You can find the link in the description. In this video, we'll cover the basics of power factor and then dive into solving real-life power factor correction problems. Stick around till the end. You don't want to miss it. In alternating current circuits, we need to understand three fundamental types of power. Active power. This is the real power that performs actual work in the circuit. Measured in watts. The apparent power represents the total power delivered to the load. It is equal to the product of root mean square voltage and root mean square current in an AC circuit. We write this in volts amperes. And the reactive power, the power associated with the energy exchange between the source and the reactive components of the load. It does not contribute to useful work. We measure it in volt amperes reactive. These three powers are related by a fundamental equation. The square of apparent power equals the sum of active power squared and reactive power squared. This relationship is identical in form to the Pythagorean theorem. Because of this mathematical similarity, we can represent the magnitudes of these three types of power proportionally using a right triangle, where one side represents active power, another side represents reactive power, and the hypotenuse represents apparent power. This visual representation is called the power triangle, and it becomes a powerful tool for solving various power-related problems. The angle between apparent power and active power is called the phase angle. This angle shows us how much the current wave is shifted from the voltage wave in our circuit. As the phase shift increases, the power triangle shows us an important relationship. The phase angle increases, causing the reactive power to increase, which in turn makes the apparent power larger while the active power remains the same. Since utility companies charge based on apparent power, a larger phase angle means higher electricity bills, even though the active power remains the same. This is why industries strive to minimize reactive power in their systems through power factor correction. Now, to understand how efficiently a load uses power, we define power factor. Power factor tells us what fraction of the apparent power is actually used as active power to do useful work. This ratio helps us evaluate how effectively electrical power is being utilized by the load. Looking at our power triangle, we can see that power factor equals the cosine of the phase angle. This relationship between power factor and phase angle gives us a powerful tool for calculations. You only need to know two of these quantities to find the others. Whether you have the power factor, active power, reactive power, or apparent power, any two will allow you to calculate the remaining values. Want to learn more about power factor? Check out our detailed video, link in the description. Let's put this knowledge to work with a real-world example. Imagine you're an electrical engineer at a manufacturing facility. You've been asked to analyze a single-phase load that's drawing 50 amperes at 230 volts with an active power consumption of 9.2 kilowatts. Your task is to determine three crucial parameters: the apparent power, power factor, and phase angle. Let's start by organizing our known values. Current is 50 amperes, voltage is 230 volts, and active power is 9.2 kilowatts. First, let's calculate the apparent power. Remember, this represents the total power delivered to our load, found by multiplying voltage and current. Voltage is 230 and current is 50, which gives us 11,500 volt amperes, which is 11.5 kilovolt amperes. This reveals something interesting. While our load consumes 9.2 kilowatts of active power, it actually draws 11.5 kVA from the supply. What causes this difference? This brings us to our next calculation. Let's determine the power factor, our key efficiency indicator. We find this by dividing active power by apparent power. Active power is 9.2 kilowatts, and apparent power is 11.5 kilovolt amperes. We get the power factor 0.8. This 0.8 power factor tells us something crucial. Only 80% of the power delivered to our system is doing useful work. The remaining 20% is handling the reactive components in our circuit. We can draw the power triangle for this system. Finally, let's calculate the phase angle, which shows us the time displacement between voltage and current waveforms. Power factor is the cosine of the phase angle. Since we know the power factor, we can find the phase angle using the inverse cosine of our power factor. Phase angle is 36.87 degrees. What does all this mean for our facility? While a power factor of 0.8 isn't terrible, it suggests there's definite room for improvement. By implementing power factor correction, we could bring this value closer to 1.0, reducing our apparent power draw and ultimately lowering electricity costs. Before going to power factor corrections, let's try another problem. Imagine you're analyzing a large industrial motor that draws 100 kilowatts with a power factor of 0.707 lagging. Your task is to determine both the reactive power and the apparent power of this system. Let's organize our known values. Active power is 100 kilowatts. Power factor is 0.707 lagging. Our power factor of 0.707 tells us that approximately 70.7% of the apparent power is being converted into useful work. This relatively low power factor suggests significant reactive power in our system. Let's draw the power triangle. Using our power triangle as a guide, we'll first need to find the phase angle before we can calculate the reactive power. Since the power factor equals the cosine of the phase angle, we can find the phase angle using the inverse cosine of our power factor. Phase angle is 45.57 degrees. This 45-degree phase angle is particularly interesting. It indicates that our current waveform is shifted significantly from our voltage waveform, resulting in substantial reactive power consumption. Using our power triangle as a guide, we can see the reactive power is equal to the P times tangent phi. So the reactive power is 102 kilovolt ampere reactive. Finally, let's calculate the apparent power. We can use our power factor and active power. Apparent power is 141.42 kilovolt amperes. This calculation shows that while our system performs 100 kilowatts of useful work, it requires the utility to supply 141.42 kilovolt amperes, approximately 41.4% more than the active power. This excess represents the total burden on the power supply system and clearly demonstrates why power factor correction could be a valuable investment. By now, you should be well acquainted with active power, reactive power, apparent power, and the all-important power factor. Let's move on to the next exciting chapter: power factor correction and capacitor size calculations for single-phase systems. A factory has a large 100 kilowatt motor operating at a poor power factor of 0.75. Calculate the size of capacitor, in kVAR, needed to improve just this motor's power factor to 0.95. Let me explain the problem. Power factor represents the fraction of power we actually get useful work done from the given apparent power. Currently, our motor converts only 75% of the apparent power into useful mechanical work. The remaining power goes into maintaining the magnetic fields necessary for the motor's operation, our reactive power. By adding a capacitor, we aim to improve this efficiency to 95%. Think of our motor like this. Its windings act as giant coils, inductors that create magnetic fields essential for operation. But these inductors have a special effect. They make the current wave lag behind the voltage wave, like a runner falling behind in a race. This is where our capacitor comes in. Capacitors have the opposite effect. They make current lead ahead of voltage. By adding just the right size capacitor, we can bring these waves closer together, like helping our runner catch up to the right pace. Let's write down what we are given. So how do we find the perfect capacitor size? Here's our plan. If the initial reactive power is Q1 and the final reactive power is Q2, the size of capacitor's reactive power we need, QC, will be equal to the Q1 minus Q2. So we have to find the reactive values Q1 and Q2. To find the reactive powers, there are several methods. Let's draw the power triangles. We already know one side, our active power. With this known, we just need one more parameter to solve the entire triangle. Fortunately, we have power factors for both scenarios, 0.75 and 0.95. Since power factor equals the cosine of the phase angle, we can work backwards to find our angles. Once we have these angles, we can calculate everything else we need. Now let's start the calculations. First, let's calculate the phase angle phi1. It is 41.41 degrees. This angle represents the phase difference between voltage and current before correction. Now calculate the phi2. It is equal to 18.19 degrees. This is the desired phase angle after correction. Since we have two parameters of the power triangle, now we can calculate every other parameter. Let's calculate the initial reactive powers for both cases. Q1 is 88.2 kilovolt amperes reactive. This represents the reactive power currently consumed by the motor. Q2 is 32.9 kilovolt amperes reactive. This is the reactive power that should remain after correction. Now the final step, we can calculate the capacitor size. Q1 is 88 kVAR and Q2 is 33 kVAR, so the QC is 55 kVAR. We need a capacitor bank rated at 55.3 kilovolt amperes reactive. This clever device will act like an electrical spring, storing and releasing energy in just the right way to bring our power factor up to that efficient 0.95. I hope this real-world example has helped strengthen your understanding of power factor correction. But remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. For a deeper dive into reactance and power factor fundamentals, make sure to check out our previous power factor video. You'll find the link right below in the description. If you think my contents are valuable to the world, you are welcome to join my Patreon community. Like and subscribe to Professor Mad for more interesting videos.